Good morning. Here's chapter 10. Getting so close, you guys. The next day at lunch, Darrow was eating with Harold. I heard about your match last night against Lincoln, Harold said. I lost, Darrow replied bitterly. I heard you were good, though. Who told you that? I heard the kids talking in homeroom, Darrow grunted. His uncle's words haunted him. You know, I'm thinking about joining the wrestling team, too, because of you, Darrow. Harold stared at him. At first, I didn't think you'd stick with it, but you did. And not only that, you look bigger, and you seem stronger. I'm thinking that wrestling could do the same for me, Harold confessed. Darrow thought Harold was only saying things he thought Darrow needed to hear. But he looked in his eyes and told Darrow that his friend was serious. Darrow did not know what to say. Harold was the only kid Darrow knew who could understand what he was going through. And for him to say that meant a lot. You should join, Darrow said to his friend. Hey, if I can do it, you can do it. And as they ate, the boys watched one of the cafeteria workers on the other side of the room cleaning a mess of spilled vegetables on the floor. The woman looked like someone's grandmother. She seemed to have trouble bending to pick up the last of the mess. Whenever she leaned over, she rested one of her hands on her back as if it were sore. Darrow felt sorry that she had such a hard job. He remembered how Harold's grandmother had helped him pick up oranges the day Tyree attacked him on the street. He got up to go and help her. Since he arrived at the high school, Darrow had rarely ventured into the other side of the cafeteria. Like the other kids at Blueford, he and Harold sat at the same table each day. And besides, Darrow knew that Tyree and his friends sat at a table at the far corner of the cafeteria. As he approached the mess, he saw several people from the wrestling team. He had never noticed before, that they were in his lunch period. Craig and Lewis were at one table, and with some other students. Farther back, Kevin was sitting with an attractive girl. Darrow bent down to help the old woman with the mess. Oh, thank you, she said. I don't usually get help, and my back has been giving me trouble the last few months. What's your name? I've never seen you before. I'm Darrow Mercer, he replied, cleaning up the last of the spilled vegetables. Well, Darrow, you can call me Miss B, she said with a smile. Tell your mama she did a good job with you. Thanks. Darrow wanted to sit with his friends from the team, but he knew that he would leave Harold alone. And when he returned to his table, Harold was smiling. What are you smiling at? Darrow asked. When you got up to help Miss B, Amber Lynn was watching the whole time. I can tell by the way she was looking that she likes you, Darrow. You just got to do something about that. There were those words again, Darrow thought. Do something. The same words that Coach Lewis had screamed to him in the wrestling match. Almost automatically, Darrow heard himself responding to Harold. I am going to talk to Amber Lynn at the dance this Friday, he said. For real? Harold exclaimed, looking shocked. Yeah, I'm going to go. Darrow could barely believe his own words. He knew Harold was surprised. Less than 2 months ago, Darrow was a scared and lonely kid who wanted to run back to Philadelphia. Now he was on the wrestling team and preparing to go to a dance to meet a girl. But each Friday when he paid Tyree, he still felt as scared as he did during the first days at Blueford. That had not changed. Deep inside, Darrow knew that what he wanted would not come until Tyree. Excuse me. Let me read that again. That had not changed. Deep inside, Darrow knew that what he wanted would not come until he confronted Tyree, that nothing would be different as long as he kept paying him. But he was afraid to stop. Tyree and his friends would come home after him if the money stopped, and Darrow knew he would have nowhere to hide. Thinking about it made Darrow shudder. Well, then I'll go too, Harold said, breaking Daryl's thoughts. I never been to a dance before. Then he added shyly, maybe Cindy Gibson will be there too. Cindy Gibson? Who's that? Well, she lives down the hall from my apartment. She's friends with Jamie and Amberlynn. Well, if Jamie and Amberlynn are going, she'll probably be there too. I hope so, Daryl smiled. The two boys shook hands and agreed they would go to the dance together. At 8 p.m. Friday evening, Daryl and Harold met in front of the Bluford. Dozens of students were streaming in the school when they arrived. Some were dropped off from cars and others were walking in large groups. Daryl and Harold joined a crowd heading down to the school's main hallway towards the cafeteria. Several police officers, as well as a handful of parents and teachers, lined the hallways to make sure there would be no trouble at the dance. One of the teachers was Mr. Mitchell. Seeing so many adults made Daryl feel safe. Look at that, Harold said, pointing forward. A police officer with a metal detector was up ahead of them. People were being checked for guns and knives before being let into the dance. Man, it looks like a prison, not a school, Daryl replied. Still, he was grateful. People were being checked for weapons. I mean, at least Tyree won't have a knife, he thought. As they neared the cafeteria, Daryl felt the deep, rhythmic thumping of dancing music, growing stronger and stronger. Just outside the cafeteria doors, he could feel the beat vibrating in his chest and his stomach. Daryl was nervous. He wondered if Amberlynn would even be there. I hope Cindy is here, Harold said suddenly. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I hope Amberlynn's here, or I'm going to feel pretty stupid, Daryl replied. I mean, she's the reason I'm here. The cafeteria was rapidly filling up with kids. All the lunch tables had been cleared out to make a giant dance floor, and snowflakes and other winter decorations had been taped to the walls. Every minute, more and more kids arrived. Daryl recognized some from his classes. Soon, the cafeteria was nearly as full as it was at lunchtime. Some students were starting to dance. Daryl looked for Amberlynn, but he couldn't find her. He decided to buy a soda. Daryl pulled a crumpled $10 bill from his pocket, and before he left, his mother had told him to look handsome, then adding that he should have fun, and she gave him the money. As he paid for the drink, Daryl realized it was the first time in months that he had money, which was not going to Tyree. He imagined the smirk on Tyree's face each time Daryl gave him his mother's money. He wished he would never see that smirk again. He shoved the change into his pocket and went back to join Harold. The dance floor continued to fill up. So many people had arrived that it was impossible to see over the crowd to the other side of the cafeteria. Daryl guessed that there were several hundred people in the crowd, maybe more. He worried that Amberlynn might not come at all. Look, there she is, Harold said, pointing over there. Jamie and Amberlynn were weaving through the crowd to get to the dance floor. Daryl's heart raced. Man, she looks good, Harold exclaimed. He took a gulp of Daryl's soda. So what you gonna do? Daryl shrugged. He was nervous. Wearing a snug blue dress for the dance, Amberlynn looked like a model out of a magazine. She looked like she was someone who would never be interested in a guy like him, he thought. I don't know. Harold, look at her. You mean you came all this way so you could talk to her, and now you're not going to do anything except sit here? Get over there. I saw the way she looked at you at lunch. Go over and talk to her, Harold demanded. Just then, Daryl saw Cindy walk by with a few of her friends. Hey, there's Cindy, he said. Harold turned to look at her. Daryl could tell by the expression on Harold's face that he was suddenly nervous too. So what are you going to do? He asked. Harold smiled and shrugged his shoulders. Daryl knew Harold was right. He had to try to talk to Amberlynn, but he had no idea what he would say. He imagined himself stuttering and making a fool of himself. How could he ever go near her? But a voice in his head told him he had to. If he did not talk to her, the voice said he would be defeating himself again, and he wanted something to happen. He had to do something. When he imagined her laughing at him, he cringed. But when he imagined himself being too scared to approach her, he hated himself. He was tired of being scared. In either case, he realized he would not end up with Amberlynn. But if he spoke to her, at least he would know that he was not letting his fear beat him. He started walking over towards her. "Where are you going, Daryl?" Harold asked. Daryl kept walking. He did not want anything to stop him. He saw her in front of a group of students. She was saying something to Jamie as he approached them. Jamie saw him first. "Hey, Daryl, what's up?" Jamie asked with a wide grin on her face. Amberlynn, I'm going to go get something to drink. I'll be right back," she said, and then she left. Daryl looked at Amberlynn. She smiled at him. "Hi, Daryl," she said warmly. "I saw you wrestle the other day. You looked so good out there. I couldn't believe it was your first match." "Thanks," Daryl said. He did not know what to say to her. Maybe what Jamie said was true, he thought. Maybe she did like him. "I still have a lot to learn," he said. He was embarrassed about losing. But she didn't seem to hold it against him. "Look, Daryl, I've been meaning to talk to you. I'm sorry about what happened the day in English class with Tyree. I felt horrible. I should never have said what I said about you," she said. Daryl was surprised at how sincere she sounded. "Amberlynn, I'm the one who should be sorry," Daryl replied. "I brought all that on you. I wish it never happened." He shook his head. Why don't we just put it all behind us, okay?" Amberlynn said. "Deal," Daryl said. He noticed that music had softened and people were pairing up to dance in couples. "You want to dance?" he asked. He could not believe that he had said it. He was almost certain she would laugh. "Yeah," she answered. "I was hoping you'd ask." Daryl put his arm around Amberlynn's waist and pulled her gently to him. He noticed that he was about as tall as she was, though when they first met, she seemed a bit taller. As he danced, he felt her warm hands around his neck. He didn't want the dance to end, but then he saw a familiar face through the corner of his eye. Rodney was standing at the edge of the crowd of dancers. He was watching them, a tight-lipped grin plastered on his face. Daryl knew that if Rodney was around, Tyree was not far away. His pulse started to pound. He was not sure what to do. He did not want to tell Amberlynn he was afraid, but he did not want to cause another embarrassing moment for her, like the one in English class. The slow song was ending, and a faster song was already starting. Daryl knew he had to get away from Amberlynn, or else both of them would be targets. "Amberlynn, I'll be right back," Daryl said. "Where are you going?" she asked. He could tell by the look on her face that she was confused. "I have to tell Harold something. I'll be right back." He walked back to where he had been standing when he arrived at the dance. He could not see Harold or Rodney. The cafeteria was dark except for a few weak lights over the dance floor. Crowds of students seemed to bounce and sway in unison, and the beat of the music grew louder and more intense. Daryl felt like he was trapped inside a giant heart that was throbbed around him. He was scared. The only idea he could think of was to find Mr. Mitchell, but he did not know what he could even. Wait a minute. I think my eyes are tired this morning. The only idea he could think of was to find Mr. Mitchell, but he did not know what he could say even if he did find him. Nothing had happened. Not yet. Daryl was moving quickly towards the hallway when he felt a large hand grab the back of his neck. "Why are you in such a hurry, midget man? You and me got some talking to do. It was Tyree. Tyree steered him forward. Darryl was not sure where he was going until he was shoved into the men's room. Several other kids came in. One of them stood outside the door to stop the other kids from going in. How much money did your mama give you tonight? Tyree asked. I ain't got no money, Darryl said. Boy, don't you lie to me. I ain't playing games with you. I know you're sweating Amberlynn. I can make you the biggest fool in this high school. And I'll drag her down there with you. She won't even look at your sorry face again, and the rest of the school will laugh every time you walk in a room. Tyree stepped closer. Man, everybody already knows you're a scared little punk. What they don't know is that you've been paying me each week. When I tell everyone that, people will laugh so loud they'll hear about you and your poor sorry mama all the way back to Philly. Now what you gonna do? Tyree growled. Darryl hated Tyree, but he feared him more. 3 of Tyree's friends, including Rodney, were there in the bathroom. Darryl was cornered. He hoped a teacher would walk in and rescue him, but he was alone. He could not bear to think about what Amberlynn would say if she knew he gave money to Tyree each week. But most importantly, Darryl did not want Tyree to make fun of her. Slowly, he reached into his pocket and pulled out his mother's change. See? He ain't as stupid as he looks, Tyree said, creeping even closer to Darryl and grabbing the money. Your mama must be real proud of you, Rodney said with a chuckle. Now about Amberlynn, Tyree said, gripping Darryl's arm. Tyree's friends also grabbed him, their arms like thick ropes preventing him from escaping. Darryl struggled, but he was unable to free himself from the 3 boys' grasp. They yanked him over to the back of the bathroom, where a large trash can stood. Let go of me, Darryl yelled. The boys lifted him off the ground and dropped him head first into the trash can. Darryl's face landed on a pile of wet paper towels and empty soda cans. Darryl winced at the heavy scent of orange soda and the chemical detergent the janitors used to clean the bathroom. You ain't nothing but trash. Darryl, remember that. Stay away from Amberlynn, or next time it'll be worse, Tyree said. Darryl heard footsteps and then the sound of the bathroom door closing. Enraged, Darryl tried to pull himself from the can. With one great push, he managed to tip the trash can over, and he and all its contents spilled out on the bathroom floor. Darryl stood up amidst the trash and saw his reflection in the mirror. Bits of paper were caught in his hair, and a soda stain marked his white shirt. Tears welled in his eyes. He never felt worse. Tyree and his friends were taking everything from him, and he was still too weak to protect himself. Wrestling had not helped him at all. A group of boys came in to use the bathroom. Man, look at this guy, one of them said. Another one laughed. Darryl stared into the mirror. A tear rolled off his face and dripped into the tile floor. Darryl wanted to scream. He wanted to yell as loud as he could at the world for what it allowed to happen to him, for how it allowed Tyree to get away with everything. He wanted to curse God for allowing his world to be filled with so much torment. Darryl kicked the trash can, sending it smashing against the bathroom wall. Then, as the other boys left, Harold walked in. Darryl, where you been? Amberlynn's looking... What happened to you? Why you got trash in your hair? Leave me alone, Darryl screamed, rushing out of the bathroom. He shouldered his way through the crowd, stormed down the hallway, and made his way out of the school. He started to sprint as fast as his feet could carry him. He wanted to get away forever from the people who laughed when they saw him, who humiliated him when they got the chance. Darryl sprinted the mile back to his home. Tears streaked down his face. The lights were out when he got back to the apartment. He went into his dark room, sat on his bed, and quietly wept. That bums me out. right? It makes me so sad. He had such hope at the beginning of the chapter. But don't give up on Daryl. Daryl's not going to give up, okay? So we've got 2 more chapters to find out how he keeps, again, just keeps pushing himself forward from inside, right? Okay, guys, miss you.